Joe, I've often wondered, how do you define wealth?
Well, there's two levels to defining wealth. One is the idea that wealth is this abundance of life itself. When you realize that wealth is abundance and everything you have around you, including your air, the fact that you have life here on the planet, this is abundance. That's one level of abundance most people don't even think about. And it's actually a gift because we didn't buy it, we didn't actually earn it, we didn't do anything for it. But when you start to feel abundant for this wealth that's given to you, you change your consciousness to allow this other abundance, the one that most of us are thinking about, which is the concrete reality of cash, or money in the bank, or stocks, whatever it happens to be in other people's terms. So for me, wealth is both of those. It's the abundance of life, but also wealth is having the funds to do what you want to do when you want to do it. I think that's great freedom, that is abundance, and that is wealth.
I like it. So there's a, you could say there's a metaphysical component to it and a physical component to it?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say metaphysical, I know some people kind of like that term and some people don't. So when I say metaphysical, I'm actually talking about the invisible part of reality. It's like this, we got a table here, but there's molecules and so forth in this table. There's nothing metaphysical about that. That's actually physics. So I'm talking about both of these in terms of you can see it and you can feel it, but you also know what's within it. So there's real abundance in the world. It's not just cash, but most of us want the cash, myself included. Show me the money.
There you go. Fair enough.
So what I know you want to ask me a question, but I want to ask you a question. Right. Let's take turns here. Let's have some fairness in this.
Hey, fair enough.
All right. So I want to know how wealth has actually shaped your life. What's different for you because of wealth?
Oh, really good question. I'd say overall, my mindset hasn't changed at all in terms of the mindset I had to become wealthy before I was wealthy was an abundance mindset. I remember saying to myself, abundance, abundance, in about the year 2000, which was well before I started really building the wealth that I have now. I kept saying that over and over, abundance, abundance, and now I'm still saying that. The thing that's changed for me is that I realized once I became wealthy that it's more about the cycle of give and take, of giving back, and back then it was more of a, I wish I could pull more in. I wasn't so much thinking about the giving. But then at a certain point, I started realizing, the more I give, the more I get. And I didn't give in order to get, but I started creating a lot more products, helping a lot more people, reaching out through the internet and so forth to a lot more people. And that led to really getting this wheel going because I was giving more, so on the other end, I was receiving more. So wealth for me has shown me that this works. And so it's changed me in the sense that now I know that all those steps that you do in terms of giving and putting stuff out there to help people really does pay off.
Well, that's interesting. So you say your mindset has not changed, that you actually had that mindset before.
Right, the
real
abundance
world
mindset.
You had the abundance mindset beforehand. That's fascinating because I didn't. I was in poverty for the longest time. I was homeless for the longest time. And my mindset was of scarcity, poverty, victimhood. I had to change my mindset. The mindset I had was not one of abundance. It was like me against the world, and I was being shortchanged. And man, it wasn't fair. So I had to change my mind. And when I changed my mind, things started to fall into place, like what you're talking about. So I'm a little bit jealous. It's like you had a head start. You got the abundance mindset before the actual cash came in, but it did balance out for you. For me, and I guess it's a teaching tale for most people watching, because you can have the abundance mindset but not have the cash. You have to do some other things to bring that in. And if you're related to me in the sense that you have a poverty mindset, or you feel like nothing's working out, or you feel like it's you against the universe, that can change too when you change your mindset.
I agree. And I guess I did have a slight advantage, but the advantage was because of people like yourself who are already, at that point, already starting to reach out and show how it can be done. So I was able to look at it as an example and say, all right, he did it, I can do it. He's human, I'm human. And that's what I really think that we need to share with people, that we're not superheroes, we're humans. Anyone can do.
We're not superheroes?
Oh, okay, we are, but talk about that later when we fly off in our capes. But
exactly.
But if that doesn't happen, then we're probably not superheroes.
Right.
And anyone can do that. And so you showed me a real life example, of someone who had done that, and countless others who have already achieved that. So looking at that, I thought, well, they did it, so I'm going to do it.
That's interesting. But you literally you looked at my life and you saw that?
Among others, yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I literally didn't know that. So that's flattering. It's also confirmation and so forth. But I had no idea. So
yeah, we're talking about the year probably 2000.
Yeah.
I had an office. I was getting an office in Beverly Hills, which sounds great. It sounds like a therapist in Beverly Hills. But the fact of the matter was that a lot of money was going out and very little was coming in at that point. So I was looking at real life examples, of people who had reached out even more and done more. So
fascinating. I didn't know that.
Joe, I know what people want to know, and this is what I wanted to know initially. It's just how can you attract more money into your life?
Well, that's a great question. There's lots of different ways to do it. I wrote a whole book that I give away that has 7 steps in it. The very first thing that people have to do is get their mind to make peace with money. Most people, if I say the question or I give this statement, money is the root of all, I don't have to say the last word. They're all filling it in. They're all saying evil. And now consider, if you sit here and say, I want to attract more money, I want to earn more money, I deserve more money, I'm doing affirmations, I'm doing visualizations, I'm doing everything that they know to do. That's great. Consciously, you're taking all the right action. But unconsciously, if you think money's evil, are you going to want it? You've got to allow enough to squeak in, because it's a necessary evil. You'll allow yourself enough to survive, but then you've got to push all the rest away. This is one reason why people who win a lottery, they may win millions of dollars, and then a year or so later, they not only have lost all that money, but they're often in debt. Why? They think money is evil, and so they push it away. They get rid of it. People who have, they win some money, they're given some money, they inherit some money, there's some sort of unexpected windfall that gets the money into their life. They actually have accidents, they get sick, they have self-sabotage. Why? Because unconsciously they're not at peace with money. To me, that's the number one thing they have to do, and that's why NLP, hypnosis, the stuff you and I create for people to go through, all those processes, those are designed to help people be in integrity with money. When they make peace with money, they're okay with money, money's got to show up. Trillions of dollars are in circulation right now. They're passing all around us, and ideas are passing around us that we can act on to bring more money into our lives. But if people don't think money is good, or they think money is evil, they actually won't see the ideas, they won't see the money, they won't take any action, they'll actually push it away. That's the number one thing that has to be done, is actually make peace with money, and also deservingness. A lot of people don't feel good about themselves. They actually were told that you're not good enough, or they surmise that they weren't good enough because of what people told them as they were being brought up. So they become adults, but they're little kids in an adult body who think money's bad, and they think they're bad. So now they don't want to allow themselves money because it's evil, and they don't want to allow themselves good things like money because they think they're not good enough for it. So there's a whole psychology that is actually the first step. And once you take care of that first step, now you're in alignment. You can bring the money in, you can allow the money, you can disperse the money, you can give money, you can receive money, you can earn money, you can win money. It'll come to you because you're not pushing it away.
That is very good. I often like to think of it as a thermostat. We all have a thermostat.
Yes.
And a thermostat is set at a level that was set usually when we were kids. And we figure out, what did mommy and daddy have? How much am I deserving of? What kind of paycheck should I get? What kind of house should I live in? And we look at that and we think when we go beyond that, we don't deserve that. That's beyond. So we start to do things like, squandering our money, and we think that we're victims. Oh, I lost a bunch of money gambling, but really we're just getting rid of the excess that we feel that we shouldn't have. And so I like what you said about what we do, about the products we create for people. I myself like to use hypnosis, and I know you do as well too, to help people just get rid of that that arbitrary thermostat setting that they have, because it doesn't have to kick in, and it shouldn't kick in, and we're all entitled to unlimited abundance.
Well, I tell people that they have to look at the whole statement, money is the root of all evil, because the actual biblical quote is longer than that, and it says it's the love of money that is the root of all evil. And then you got to look at that, because the wealthy people I know, and you're probably in the same category, they actually aren't in love with money. They're in love with freedom.
Right.
Money gives them that freedom. And I use Donald Trump as an example because they think, most people think he's the biggest egotist in the world and he loves money. But actually, he loves deal making. That's his calling. That's his life mission. When he knows he's made a good deal is when the money is there. So money becomes a scorecard. And that's all it is. And I tell people, I've been like you all over the world, and they show me their money. When I'm in Russia, they show me their money, and it looks like play money to me. It's monopoly money. And I go to Peru, and they show me their money. It's like, this isn't money either. What really is money? It's what we've agreed on. It's just paper. It's just a symbol. It's just coin. And we project all kind of meaning onto it, most of which is survival, because we think we need it to survive. And so I back up from all of that, and I say, look, money is not evil. It is as neutral as can be. What you really want to do is focus on your freedom and focus on your own passion and your own calling. For Trump, it's deal making. When he does a good deal, money comes in. The money is the way he knows he's measuring it and he's doing well. So when you neutralize all of these projections on money, you've made yourself available to it. And that's another psychological insight that I have found works wonders. And I love it. When money comes in, I do whatever I want with it. I can buy something for myself. I've become a steward for the money, which is a very powerful place to be. And if you care about pockets of the world that are starving and they don't have enough water, you can direct money to those places. So I can go on and on with all of that because it's so exciting.
Oh, I think that's great. And that's one of the things that I like to teach people too, because a lot of times people who don't like money, they get mad at the rich, the rich are evil and so forth, and they look negatively on the rich. A lot of times those people don't have the money that they need to get by. If they didn't have any money for a month, things wouldn't go so well.
Right.
And I've been in that situation. I remember in the 80s when I was just out of college, I was in that situation. I didn't like rich people much. I didn't have much, and I didn't care for people who did, and I thought they were probably evil. But a lot of times if you're in that situation, what happens is that you actually lack the resources to help yourself and others. And I think one of the things that bridges the gap for people to get from that situation to being wealthy and abundant is to realize that once you have enough wealth for yourself, you can, as you said, help other people.
You can make a difference with others.
Yep. You can take charge of some of that energy, some of those resources, and distribute them as you see fit. But when you don't have money, you don't have that power. You don't have that option.
Right. Well, the other thing you mentioned, your attitude towards rich people or wealthy people was that they were either evil or corrupt or something. A lot of people feel that way. And when I question them, it's like, where did you get that idea? We are being programmed by the media. Not necessarily the mainstream news, though that's part of it. But you think about some of the television shows we watch, some of the movies that we watch. Usually big business is evil and corrupt. Wealthy people are actually manipulators who are doing dastardly things to each other. And we don't realize those are stories that are being written to entertain us.
Right.
What we do unconsciously, and it's very hypnotic because those shows are done to hold our attention and to send a message into us. We watch those shows and we end up concluding, oh, I don't want to be rich because I'll be evil like those guys. Right. I don't want to have a big business because I'll be corrupt like those guys. There is a programming that's going on, and unless you're acutely aware of it and somebody tells you, like we're telling people right now, they will absorb it. I used to tell people, I don't know if you remember the show Gilligan's Island.
Oh yeah,
we grew up with it and so forth, and they had the rich people, the rich couple there.
Thurston Howell III.
Yes,
and Lovey.
And they were very humorous, but you didn't want to be them.
Right.
They were not likable people.
They're snobby, they're rude.
But we're little kids and we're watching that. What are we concluding unconsciously? It's like, we'd rather be Gilligan or the captain or maybe the professor, but you don't want to be those rich people.
Right.
We'll end up 10, 20 years later and you're not wealthy and you start to wonder why not. Part of it is blame Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Or shows like that. And so what I'm telling people is you have to be acutely aware of the programming in your own head. Now that's where you and I focus with the hypnosis, NLP, our products, all of that kind of stuff. We're going inside to rewire the brain more or less, because it's already wired in a particular direction. And the way it's wired is there isn't enough in the world, money is evil, rich people are evil, big business is bad, all of that kind of stuff. And then you end up going, I wonder how come I can't get money? How come I can't attract it into my life? Mm-hmm. It's explained by your mental processes, and part of which was programmed unconsciously.
Yep, and you start repelling it. You start pushing it away. Yeah. I don't want to be bad. I don't want to be evil. I will separate myself from all of that. I will be good, but poor.
Yeah, and then you'll even have your friends saying, don't sell out.
Right.
That's because
To the man.
they were programmed by the shows. They don't even know what they're thinking.
Right.
Boy, we're in many ways we're robots. We've all been programmed in a particular way, and what my teaching is all about is to awaken. I want to awaken, and I want to help people awaken. And one of the first steps is with wealth. Because when you awaken to wealth and you allow it to come into your life, you have great power, you have great freedom. I've been able to help my family, my parents, my sister, causes I believe in. I've helped complete strangers that were homeless, a child that was disabled. I've been able to do it because I'm okay with money. Money comes into my life, and yeah, I splurge on myself. I do all kind of wonderful things, but I take care of family, friends, community. I've even started a movement to end homelessness. I'm trying to orchestrate all the pieces to do it. But when I was still homeless, I couldn't do that. When I was in poverty, I couldn't do that. So when you start to take care of your own business and your own mentality, you start to allow the money to come in, and you can do wonderful things with it.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a question that I get quite a bit. You know, we both have Wealth Trigger 1 and a Wealth Trigger 2, the advanced or reloaded. Mm-hmm. And people often say, what's the difference between the programs? Mm-hmm. And at first I thought, well, isn't it clear? Wealth Trigger 1 was kind of like the basics, and it was the fundamentals and all of this. And it was the beginner's course. It was to take them from first grade to sixth grade, somewhere in there if you want to put it in those terms. And then Wealth Trigger 2, Reloaded, this is the advanced material. It's like we laid the foundation with those first levels there. And then we took it to the next level. We're taking them from, let's understand money, let's understand wealth, let's get our mindset clear about this. Now that we have you going in that direction, let's put it in overdrive. Let's turn on the afterburners and let's go and take it to Wealth Trigger 2 Reloaded. So that is complete. Number 2 is completely different from number 1, and it's an add-on. But I wanted to hear specifically from you, what did you think was the difference? What should people keep in mind?
Well, what I really liked about Wealth Trigger Part 2 is just what you brought to the table. You know, the robustness of, you know, okay, you're not in kindergarten anymore. You know, you're not even sixth grade. You're way beyond that. Let's go ahead and fill it out with more examples of stuff that I ran into. You know, Joe Vitale ran into when you got to that higher level. Right. And then I came in kind of working with that, and I took the basic hypnosis program that I taught them in Wealth Trigger Part 1. And I said, okay, you know that, let's review it. We had a review of it, how to program yourself for wealth. And then I start talking about more advanced things that you can do hypnotically. There are a lot of hypnotic techniques that you can use, like using a pendulum. You know, people think that's hokey. They think it's you know, something akin to voodoo. But really with a pendulum, you can get information from your subconscious mind through the subtle actions of your hand. And you can set up an X and Y axis and figure out if it's yes or no, asking yourself, do I have a resistance because my parents didn't like money? Get a yes or no. So you can go through this whole list that I give in Part 2 and assess where your subconscious mind is, information that you don't even know, so you don't have to have someone put you under hypnosis. All you have to do is get a pendulum, ask yourself these questions, get them, and then I teach how to do sub-questions from that to really pinpoint where the sticking points are. Because people go so far and then inevitably they run into a challenge, a brick wall. And that is, as we were talking about before, the subconscious thermometer kicks in with the thermostat. Once the thermometer gets to a certain point, the thermostat says, well, hey, shut this down. You know, we're not going to go any higher because of X, Y, or Z. We need to find out what X, Y, or Z are. So in the advanced program, the understanding is, you know, we took you to this point. We know you're going to have challenges. Let's push right through them. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because it might be on some people's mind. Why would they need a pendulum to ask themselves questions? Why wouldn't they just ask themselves the question?
That's a great question, and I discovered the pendulum when I was about 16. I got a book on using the pendulum. You can ask yourself, why don't I have the amount of money I want in my bank account? Why don't I have the car I want? Why don't I have the house I want? And you can sit and listen for the answer. And some people will get an answer from themselves. Most people will not. That's been my experience, myself included. I will not just get an answer. Some people have that skill. They have the skill to ask themselves and get the answer. With a pendulum, it cuts right through it all, because all you have to do is hold a pendulum in your hand. Again, it's not magic, it's nothing metaphysical really. It's just your brain, your subconscious mind, sending a signal along your arm to your hand to move it in a certain way. And so my answer would be, it's so much more streamlined.
Yeah, and accurate probably.
Right, you're going to get an answer, a correct answer from yourself. You're going to see it swing. Whereas if you hear a voice in your head or whatever, I hear a yes, I hear a no. Oh, it just changed. You know, the pendulum's either swinging one way or the other, and it's definite. So
that's very clear.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to tell you a behind-the-scenes story. When I was making Wealth Trigger 2, I went into the studio, and I have a sound engineer. And the rule of thumb is once I get started, I just keep talking because ideas are coming to me, and I'm kind of channeling it. It's not really the word I'm looking for. But I'm having a lot of information coming in through me. And I get so excited, I get so passionate that I really don't stop. The sound engineer was hungry, so he left the machine recording me, and he left. He went to lunch. He ate his lunch. He came back, and I was still talking.
Wow! Wow! You're in the zone.
I was in the zone. I was so passionate about this, and when I talk, I'm ad-libbing, and I'm talking to the listener. I'm imagining there's one listener, even though millions of people may end up listening to Wealth Trigger 1 and Wealth Trigger 2. I talk to one person. Why do I do that? It's a very hypnotic technique. I'm actually speaking to the unconscious mind of the person listening. And I'm telling stories to help unravel their belief system and to teach them a new belief system. This is the hypnotic storytelling that both of we both do and we both know so well. But I kind of chuckle because the technician went, I don't even know why I hired a guy. I could have just pushed record and at the end of the day just stopped the recording, and there it is. But I had a blast doing it because I'm so in love with the topic. I'm so in love with this. I get to help other people. And as I narrate these differences for people in the beliefs, I also am looking at myself. It's like, have I taken care of my beliefs? Am I expanding myself so I think more like, Richard Branson or somebody that's spending billions of dollars? Because we can keep expanding our beliefs, and I think that's part of the reason for Wealth Trigger 2 is that you began the expansion to allow more wealth to come in, and maybe there's more money coming in, but how much more can come in when you go through Wealth Trigger 2? The whole idea is let's raise it up, let's raise the bar, let's expand our thinking, and let's expand the funnel to allow more to come in.
I like that. And I like the fact that you get caught up in the zone and talking to someone. I also like what you brought up about sometimes things come up for you and you start analyzing your own life.
Right.
I used to notice that with clients. Clients a lot would come in with presenting challenges, I would call them challenges, that mirrored what was going on in my life. Someone would come in with something and it was just a week of, this is the week of blank. Well, that happened to be the week that I was going through blank.
Wow.
So it's interesting how the universe kind of works that way and kind of throws it at you. And I think with these programs that we're creating, we're having to go back and remember the day when we were in that situation, when we were in the situation that an end user of the product was in, and we have to put ourselves back in that. And then we have to think about, well, have I done everything the way I wanted to? What can I change? What can I work on? And that becomes something that we can share. A real human experience that we can share that we both, I know, put in the program. We say, okay, we still come across this. Guess what? We're still human. And we still come across some of this.
Exactly right.
This is how we deal with it on a practical level, on a day-to-day basis. And we show them how to get over it.
Yeah. I was telling somebody over coffee this morning that I don't know that we have any actual limits. We talk about the sky being the limit. I don't even know that the sky's the limit. What I have found from going through all the phases of my life, from going from nobody and broke and everything to living this lifestyle of the rich and famous at this point, is that I think all the limitations are actually psychological. I don't know this, there might be some sort of physical limitation I haven't run into yet, but it seems like when we're talking about wealth, what's the limitation to how much you can bring in? Isn't that man-made? Isn't that self-made? Isn't that a belief system? And what we're doing with our work and with the programs is that we're helping people remove those barriers and keep raising the bar. And I'm still doing it in my life. I do want to keep raising the bar to allow more to come in so I can make a big difference in my life and in the planet's.
Absolutely, and interestingly, when you brought up the planet and no limits and so forth, I heard this program recently where they're going to actually go out and capture comets and mine the comets, and they told, I don't know how many trillions of dollars the minerals and so forth in the comets are worth. So you think about, well, the Earth is limited. We've got this amount of resources. Yeah, maybe you can conquer the whole world, but that's it. That's not even the limit.
That's right.
Now they're going to start pulling in comets and mining them.
That's
and
great.
And selling that product.
Yeah.
So we've just got to think out of the box. We've got to realize there really is no box, and the sky is not the limit. There really are no limits, and we're just beginning to understand that as a human race, how much we can reach out, and our subconscious minds are the same way. And when we start to achieve it, we think, wow, I did that. What else can I do?
Exactly right. Oh, we live in exciting times, don't we?
We absolutely do.
I think when we were told that there would be the age of miracles and wonders, it's today.
It is.
We're living in those times now.
Absolutely.